Clare FM's Beyond Belief with Stephen Fletcher.
Good evening. It's just after 9 o'clock on this Sunday evening, the 4th of January 2026, and you're very welcome to Beyond Belief. I'm Stephen Fletcher, and in the next hour I'll be looking back over the past 12 months, picking out items that have featured on Beyond Belief, together with some music that I enjoy. So, a relaxed, reflective review of the last year, leading us gently into this new year. And of course, I sit down with my colleague Fr Gerry Kenny for our first chat over coffee for this new year. Welcome to 2026. And despite hearing that supermarkets are already putting up Easter eggs on their shelves, today the church celebrates the feast of the Epiphany, when the wise men come visiting the baby Jesus. So I thought we could start with this from a group fronted by Darren Mulligan, We Are Messengers.
Of Orient are bearing gifts, we traverse so far, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Born a king on Bethlehem's plain, gold I bring to crown him again, king forever, ceasing never, over us all to reign. Star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Now behold him arise, King and God in sacrifice. Hallelujah, hallelujah, heaven to earth replies. Star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light.
Well, this can only mean one thing: coffee and chat.
Here we are again, happy as can be, all good pals and jolly good company.
Fr Gerry Kenny, may I be the first person to wish you a very happy new year.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and it's great to be chatting with you again in 2026.
Yeah.
Even though we're separated by the water, if you like. You're across in the UK at the moment, and I'm here in Kilkee.
Indeed. But we've still got the coffee. I've got some chocolate I'm having to finish, Jerry, because you can't leave it. I've got a piece of chocolate and I've got a coffee, and that's me settled for this evening.
I'm definitely going to have to go on some sort of a diet in the new year now, because the amount of stuff I've been nibbling at, it's not that I've been sitting down to enormous meals, but it's just nibbling away over the Christmas has been, with all the treats. It has its cost, if you like. A new regime, maybe. Yeah, that's the way.
Do you go in for New Year's resolutions?
Not really. I tried that for a few years, and it wasn't something that I was very focused on. I just take each day now as it comes, Stephen. That's it. Actually, looking at my calendar, I've even trained myself now. I only look at about maybe what's the day ahead, nearly, rather than looking in the long term, and just value the moment. And because I suppose in our ministry, in that every day is, you just, when you get up in the morning, while you have plans, nevertheless, you'll find most days that I find that the plan doesn't fully work out. You have to be flexible and just answer the call that comes on that day, whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's right. And I've been here for a couple of weeks now, I think. But yeah, we'll be back as soon as we can. As ever, when I came over on the ferry, it was delayed. I didn't get to sleep for 28 hours because the ferry, Storm Bram, do you remember Storm Bram? That we had.
Right, yes.
And that disrupted the ferries, and to the extent that it was too rough for them to get moored in Holyhead, and so they had to wait until they could get in. And as a result, that caused problems. So we were stuck in Dublin for a good few hours, and then we got on board, and then we had to wait even longer before we moved off. And so we left just before midnight, and of course that meant that it threw everything out. But anyway, that was okay.
They're the joys now of travelling, I'm afraid. That it's waiting at airports, it's waiting, as you say, in ferry, and you never know what contingency occurs that has to delay things or whatever. And I think travelling is becoming a little bit of a hassle. I just find that myself even. Great if everything goes according to plan, but again, you have to leave yourself very flexible, because you never know what is going to happen.
Yeah, and here in the UK, there was problems a few days ago with the Channel Tunnel. The power failed for the trains crossing there, and so people were stuck trying to get either to France or back to the UK, because it's so popular. Tens of thousands of people use it every day, and so it only takes a little bit of disruption for great chaos to end up, and that's the situation that there was. I think it's back to normal now, but certainly for the first couple of days of the new year, they were catching up. But I suppose we don't need to travel, do we? We need to spend more time where we are, Jerry.
And I suppose just enjoy the moment. I'm conscious now that we're into the new year, but Christmas has been a great occasion for a lot of people, reuniting with families and friends and that over the period. But it also reminds me as well, like, that it can be a very difficult and sad period for people, especially ones who have suffered recent bereavements, and for those who have had tragedies over in recent times, and families that are affected by all of that. It can be a very difficult time when everybody, the mood of the culture is that, you have to be out enjoying yourself and all the rest of it. But very often people have to struggle with their own difficulties and their own hardships in life and that. And actually, Stephen, I suppose on a faith note, this year I found enormous consolation, really, now that we've entered into the year of Matthew in the Sunday Gospels and that, and just through Advent and over the Christmas season, the role of Matthew's Gospel with highlighting the role of Joseph. I found there was great consolation in that, because Matthew's depiction of the birth of Jesus is surrounded in a lot of tension and difficulties. Like, there we meet Herod trying to do away with the child. It's the struggle that Joseph had in the dilemma he found himself, and all of that sort of the whole reality, I suppose, of what people themselves now are struggling with as well. Trying to find the light in the darkness, which Joseph did through his own faith and his consolation in in being able to communicate with God and find the right path to journey through and all of that. And I suppose that's what we try to do in ministry as well, is to give people that sort of ray of light that might help them in their particular difficulties. It's not that we will be able to solve them, but at least be supportive and console them and guide them in some way.
It's important that we travel with them, isn't it? Whatever difficulties they have, we need to be with them and helping them wherever we can.
Absolutely. And this was the first Christmas for our new Pope Leo, and his appeal all over the Christmas time has been, and really since he became Pope, has been peace, and let's work for peace. And difficult and all as that journey may be in our present world, encouraging leaders to work and do everything to work towards peace rather than destruction is so important.
Yeah, there seems to be so many difficulties in our world at the moment, and no obvious resolution. There's talk of peace coming, but it seems a long way off, whether we're talking about Gaza or we're talking about the Ukraine or all the other places that are happening but don't seem to attract so much attention. It's so important that we do work for peace, and as you say, Pope Leo has made that one of his themes of the new year, hasn't he?
He has, yes. And I suppose one of the consoling points in all of that is that there still is a lot of good hope and good news stories around. I think of in the period before Christmas and that the amount of generosity there was on behalf of people assisting various charities. Is almost a given, but it's important to recognise that people have been very generous and supportive to people in their own community or to people overseas through Throcra or any of the other agencies, and assisting and having compassion, which is what we're called to do in our journey of life. And that was a very hopeful thing, I think, for us as well. Plus, just checking around with all of my colleagues here, the great attendance there was over the Christmas to our ceremonies and events, and that I think has given us all a bit of hope and strength that the journey of faith is still very much important. People looking for that guidance and that support and that light on their journey as well, and touching into us and into the community of faith to try and get that is an important feature, a very hopeful one.
It is, yeah. And it was interesting because my vicar was away. He was in Sri Lanka with his wife, and I had the great privilege of taking services here. I do it when I'm here quite often, here in Milton Keynes, but I took a couple of services and the response was there were a lot of people there. One of them was the Christmas Eve midnight service, and the other one was the one last Sunday. And both of them were well attended, and I enjoyed that very much. When you feel that people are with you in a service, it makes so much difference, doesn't it, Gerry?
Oh, it does, yeah, it does. And I suppose, in the run-up to Christmas as well, here in Clare FM, with the programmes we were doing, the carol service and all that, the amount of cooperation I got, especially from the school, from the students at St. Joseph's Community College, and the bishops and their inputs and their messages and that. I think there was a great deal of consolation and hope in all of those. And it's good to be part of it, Stephen, as I think as you and I know. We often get as much out of it as the listener, I think, because and actually the amount of people that I've met who want to join us for the coffee and the cake they're saying, can we come along to your next coffee break?
We'll have to start charging, Gerry. Have a little cafe here.
To issue tickets for this.
Yeah. But no, it's good. And that's what I love as well, is that we're part of the community in Kilrush and Kilkee, aren't we? And so it's very good. Yeah, I enjoy it very much.
So I suppose I better let you get on with your programme. We're having a little bit of a retrospective maybe tonight on some of the people over the past year. And in chatting about it as well, I must express my thanks to all the people that engage with me in putting together the programmes. I'm thinking particularly about people like those that work with the Vincent Paul Society, the Samaritans, and various people that we chatted to over the past year, and gave us an insight into their work and kept it before people. And I know that people appreciate hearing about all of those things, just as they appreciate the wide breadth of what you bring to the programmes as well, Stephen.
Thank you. And of course, Colin Flynn, while we're talking about contributors, of course, Colin Flynn, Vatican correspondent, has been doing sterling work over the last year, and he's actually in El Salvador at the moment with Paula, because it was their first wedding anniversary on the 30th of December, and they were in El Salvador, which is where Paula comes from. They were there to celebrate with her family there.
And of course, we can't forget our colleague, Father Brendan.
Of course
and
not.
all that he brings. I was just chatting to him earlier in the week, just making sure that everything was okay with him, and like he's presenting all of our Sunday prayer programs during this month of January, and he'll be with us again on the program on next Sunday evening as we get back into our usual schedule. So look at Stephen, it's great chat with you. I'm looking forward to your return here to Ireland, and we'll actually physically be sitting down having the coffee hopefully at that point in time.
Very good, Jerry. A very happy new year to you. Thank you for all that you do for Beyond Belief and for Sunday prayer. A lot of it behind the scenes, but you're always there working away, and it's very much appreciated. So thank you very much indeed. I look forward to seeing you when I come back, and until then, just have another piece of chocolate before you give it all up.
Oh, thank you, Stephen, and regards to yourself, Francis, and all your family and friends over there, and we look forward to seeing you back here in Ireland.
Thank you very much.
And safe journey and travel to you, and to all our listeners as well, a very happy new year, and may the blessings of God be with you on your journey. God bless you, Stephen.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Bye now. Well, we just paused my conversation and play a piece of music, and I was looking around to see what it was. We've been talking about years, and did you know how many minutes there are in a year? Well, Pentatonic do in their song Seasons of Love.
525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter, in strife. In 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in the life? How about love? How about love? How about love? Measuring love.
As I said in the introduction, I'm choosing just a few short pieces from Beyond Belief that were broadcast in 2025. The first is from Bishop Michael Burrows, who, as well as being the Bishop of Chewham, Limerick and Killaloe, is also the Chair of Governors of the Anglican Centre in Rome. In this piece from the 16th of February last year, Bishop Michael has just come back from a visit to Rome where he met Pope Francis. So what's it like actually going into the Vatican when you're granted access to the Pope?
It's very different from being a tourist, and I've been there many times, and I always compare going in lay attire, looking like a visitor, and when you turn up looking like a bishop. It's certainly, I have to say, and I hate being hierarchical, a rather different experience. This year, the Vatican already is full of pilgrims. This is the Jubilee year, which they have every 25,
Did you
25
go through
years.
the door?
I went through all four doors, yes, of the four great basilicas. I couldn't resist the temptation to do it. I just wanted to see the people and all that was happening. So I dashed around on the metro and managed to do all four of them, which are St. Mary Major, St. Paul's Without the Walls, the Basilica of St. John Lateran and St. Peter's itself. And there's this traditional idea that every 25 years the Pope opens the Holy Door, and for pilgrims to pass through is a kind of a source of spiritual benefit, and you feel you have achieved something and you have had a sense of journeying and of holiness and of purpose. And after all, you know, Anglicans can get all tied up with being excited about indulgences and all that sort of thing. I don't think about that sort of thing at all. I just think of the value of pilgrimage, travelling, focusing, reaching the destination, enjoying the atmosphere, meeting people, which is all about the kind of small kind of model of pilgrimage we're trying to develop in our own diocese at the moment through spiritual tourism. So it's all part of the same thing and something that's very popular for people in this busy world. So, but when you go down to be received by the Pope, you go through these obviously layers of security and encounter, but there are these, as you know, these wonderful Swiss guards in their colourful uniforms, designed by Michelangelo, apparently, and with their pikes or whatever they call them, and they salute and you pass through layers of them. There's Vatican security and there's Vatican police as well. But eventually you get to the Apostolic Palace, where the Pope doesn't actually live. He lives in much more humble surroundings in sort of the Vatican guest house, and he's always done that. But he receives formal visitors in the Apostolic Palace. So you go through all these audience rooms, each of which has a throne in them, and you eventually get to the papal private study where he sits behind a desk. And there were just, when we met him last week, just the five of us there. And he gave us he speaks mostly in Spanish and Italian, works through an interpreter. But he gave us a delightful little message on the importance of good humour. And he gave us indeed a prayer, as well as a medal, which he said was one of his own favourite prayers, that one would be blessed with the perspective that comes from the gift of good humour. I thought it was lovely to hear that from the Pope himself. And the other thing that was fascinating about that visit to the interior of the Apostolic Palace was seeing from the inside the window where the Pope traditionally speaks down to the crowd in St. Peter's Square on Sundays, and most especially at Christmas and Easter. And just to stand at that window gave one an extraordinary sense of the sort of the history and the atmosphere and the character of the church. And I often say to people, I'm very happy as an Anglican theologically. I wouldn't be anything else in terms of my inner integrity. I nevertheless enjoy ecumenical sharing, and we learn so much from each other by walking together in a shared pilgrimage. But if the Roman Catholic Church was simply about the beauty of Rome itself, I would be very sort of allured, I think. It is an extraordinary city, full of classical history, church history. Wherever you turn, there's something new to behold. There's a work of glorious art in every place. And I think I could sort of live happily in Rome, sort of sipping Prosecco and eating pizzas and just digesting the atmosphere. Yeah. But 3 or 4 days and then it's time to come home and get on with it.
Very good. Well, I think you ought to have a DCO with you.
That's it, yes.
The next time you go, because we work very closely on Clare FM with Colin Flynn, the Vatican correspondent there, and he paints a picture of life. He lives in Vatican City in a flat, but he's very much involved there.
And you do feel when you go to Rome that you are in some strange way encountering, and it's the same if you go to the Holy Land, even more so, but there are certain places where you feel you come face to face with, as it were, the very roots and bedrock of our common faith. And like it or not, Rome is the place associated with the witness and the tradition associated not just with Peter but with Paul as well. And one of the things we've enjoyed doing in the Anglican Centre, because we run pilgrimages too ourselves, is to stress coming to the place of the imprisonment, the writing and the martyrdom of Paul as something that we can very much do together. And there is something wonderful about studying writings on location, to feel that this is where this was written.
Yeah.
That these texts come alive because Paul looked out perhaps of a prison window or a house window and saw the same scenes of classical Rome as are still there.
Well, Bishop Michael, thank you so much. You painted such an elegant picture, and we look forward to hearing more about your travels, whether to Rome or other points in the diocese. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our friend and Vatican correspondent Colin Flynn is also a regular contributor to Beyond Belief. I chose this from the 14th of October 2025, when I caught up with Colin to find out where he was, and found that this time he was not in some far-off distant country.
Come fly with me, let's fly away.
Well, come fly with me. Again, it's a delight to be talking to Colin Flynn. Colin, how are you?
Hey, Stephen, it's great to talk to you too.
And we say, come fly with me, and I think you're actually in Ireland. Not only that, you're at an airport in Ireland. You're at Knock Airport.
Yeah, I mean, the official name is Ireland West Airport, but to everyone it still is known as Knock Airport. And I didn't know this, but it's actually Ireland's fourth busiest airport, and it has 800,000 passengers a year. So that's incredible when you think of its humble beginnings with Monsignor Horan. And next year it's celebrating its 40th birthday.
Wow. Wow, that's impressive, isn't it? And it's an amazing story. I mean, you could almost say a miraculous story, couldn't you?
Yeah, really. I mean, when he wanted to build this airport, everyone told him, look, Monsignor, you did a great job with the Basilica and Knock, but this is crazy. You want to build not only an airport, but a huge runway, so it could be an international airport. He always wanted to have the larger jets coming from abroad. But, you know, you have to remember the land here is boggy. And then on top of that, it's foggy. Yeah. So the heavy jets landing on the bog and the fog, and then he didn't have money, he didn't have planning permission. And there's that famous interview from 1981 where Jim Fahey is interviewing him and saying, what are you doing here? And he said, well, what does it look like? I'm building an airport. And he said, surely you can't be serious. And he said, well, I am. And the work is going well. And he said, have you got permission? He said, well, I don't know if I do or don't, but we're going ahead anyway. I mean, you wouldn't get away with it today in 2025, but that's the kind of person he was. Yeah. You know, a lot of people say that's the kind of person that we need more now today to get things done.
Yeah. So you got the story there now, or have you still got work to do on it?
In 15 minutes, we are leaving here. We wrap in 15 minutes. My cameraman, Patrick, is out getting the last shots around the airport. And all this morning, we did all the interviews. And you know what was really special? Monsignor Horan, people, you know, he's so famous here in Ireland. He was such an incredible priest and an incredible visionary as a Monsignor to just get this done and just get it over the line. But the poignant thing is that just a few months after it opened in 1986, all the hard work, it had really taken a toll on him, because even though locally there was a lot of support, coming from government, there was people, you haven't got the planning permission, or you don't have the right budgets. And he did keep having to think, where's the next check coming from?
Yeah.
Where's the concrete needs to be paid for? We need more of the equipment. We need the fire engines.
Yeah.
£1 million each. We need fire engines here at the airport for it to qualify as an international airport. So sadly, just a couple of months after it opened in 1986, he went on a flight from Knock to Lourdes, a pilgrimage.
Right.
And one morning he was found dead in his bed in Lourdes.
Oh.
And he was the first remains to be flown back into Knock Airport.
Wow.
So it kind of was poignant as well. And it was a huge moment here that they brought the Monsignor back, landing on the runway here at Knock Airport, then the late Monsignor Horan. So it's beautiful how his memory lives on here, and they haven't forgotten him, even though 40 years have passed. There's a bronze statue outside. There's, I can see a plane actually roaring down, coming in from Bristol right this second. That's Ryanair coming in beside me as I talk to you.
Good.
But even in the fire station, they have a lovely photograph of the Monsignor hanging above the engines.
Yeah.
Here in the conference room where I'm talking to you, they have a crucifix up and a photograph of Monsignor. He's everywhere, not forgotten.
Yeah.
So it's such a positive, beautiful story, and I know
Absolutely.
that our American audience will love it.
Yeah, what a visionary he was, to see the opportunity and then just go for it, never mind the red tape, never mind all the rest of it, just do it. Yeah, brilliant. Good. Well, Colm, thank you so much. Are you staying in Ireland long after you're in quarter of an hour's time when you leave Knock? You're heading back to...
15 minutes, we're driving to Galway, and tomorrow we're shooting all day for Nationwide in Galway. And then the following day as well. Then we're over to Dublin for a few days, doing some more RTE work. And then down to Cork next week. We'll be filming in Cork a special programme about people with disabilities. And that'll be broadcast in January, I think it is. But I have to mention, actually, coming up, set your watches, put it in your diary, folks. October the 20th, Monday, October the 20th, Nationwide, 7 p.m, RT1. We have a full half-hour special from Rome, looking at some of the Irish sites in the Eternal City. Some well-known, some lesser-known, but it's a full half-hour and it's a lot of fun, and it's coming from Rome, Monday, October the 20th.
Right.
Sorry for the shameless plug, Steve.
On the programme tonight, we'll also be having Father Brendan Quinlivan talking about starting the Matt Talbot novena in Kilrush, would you believe, on the 20th, Monday the 20th at 7 p.m. So...
it's at 7 p.m? Oh no, we're in competition. Okay, folks, listen. You do forget what I said. Don't watch Nationwide on the 20th. You can go to the novena. You can watch it back in the RT player or on RTE 1+1. Go to the novena.
Well, Brendan will be very proud of you to say that. But no, thank you, Colm. And love to Paula. And you've got a full schedule here for RTE at the moment, haven't you? But I guess you won't be calling into Kilrush on your way through. We've got the cake and the coffee. It's here should you wish to stop off on your way.
The problem is we can't afford your appearance fee. You've outpriced us. We can't afford to come and put you on television. You're just too expensive. Your agent has told us.
Yeah. But Colm, it's always a delight to see you. Thank you so much for talking to us about your plans for the future and your busy work that you're doing in Ireland. And love to Paula, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again soon.
My pleasure, and thank you so much, Stephen.
This is Clare FM.
We had the former RTE journalist Brian Dobson as our special guest when we returned from our Beyond Belief annual August holiday. When I began the interview, I was keen to start right at the beginning of Brian's life. Could we just go right back to hear all about you from your early days, your very early days? Where were you born?
Well, I was born in Dublin. I was born in 1960, and I grew up in Sandymount in the south part of Dublin City. It's sort of an inner suburb. Dublin 4, which of course has another kind of connotation and reputation. But that's where my father was from, that part of Dublin, and indeed his parents before him. And my mother had come from the north side to live in the south side of Dublin, which isn't a great distance in terms of miles, but is probably, in the minds of Dubliners anyway, almost like crossing a chasm. But that was where I grew up. It was a small family, just myself and my sister. And I went to the local school and then to New Park Comprehensive Secondary School in Blackrock, also in the same sort of bit further out of South Dublin, and just had a very kind of normal and I think very happy, I was very fortunate, a very happy childhood.
Very nice. And the schooling that you went to, was it a church school?
It was the local Church of Ireland National School, and at the time, now it's expanded. There's many, many more teachers, and it caters to people from all parts of the community. But when I was going there, it was a Protestant school, and most of the children there were local Protestant kids, so it wasn't very big. It was a 2-teacher school. I guess maybe there was, whatever that might have been, 40 or 50 children at most. And when I went there was a husband and wife. Mr. and Mrs. Byers were the 2 teachers. It's a remarkable thing to have gone to a 2-teacher school, only a couple of miles from O'Connell Street in the centre of Dublin. And I suppose it was because it was a Church of Ireland school that at the time really did just cater to the Church of Ireland, Presbyterian and Methodist families in the area. That's all changed now, obviously.
Yes.
But I was taught latterly then by a lady called Miss Foster, who came to the school towards the end of her career, and she had taught my mother when my mother was a small child.
It's lovely, isn't it?
That was an extraordinary connection. There wasn't that many years, I suppose, between us, but it was just a lovely local parish school.
Yeah, and as you say, how fortunate to be able to have that in the middle of Dublin, as you say, Dublin 4.
It was remarkable. I mean, people don't believe me when I tell them.
Yeah.
2-teacher school in the heart of Dublin 4. And, it's still there, still providing great educational opportunity for lots of children. And I went back a few years ago to raise their green flag. The primary schools now can apply for these green flags under different criteria, and they had secured one. And they asked me back, and then the principal produced the report book from 1960, whatever it was.
Oh dear!
And, had found the teachers' comments on my year, which were at best mixed, I might say.
Yeah, I'm sure you were the perfect pupil, but
far from it.
So, and then you went on to comprehensive school.
Yeah, I attended secondary school at New Park Comprehensive, which was set up the year that I went there. And it was really part of an initiative to try and make free education available, to the Protestant community, because at the time that free education came in Ireland I think it was about 1966 or 67, I don't think there were any Protestant schools opted in. They all decided to remain fee paying, except for what was Voca Kingstown School in Blackrock in Dublin, and Mount Temple on the north side of Dublin, which had been Mount Joy, and I think one or two others in Cork, maybe, and elsewhere. So New Park was, and it was a school that embraced a whole new way of teaching. This idea of this comprehensive ethos, if you like, where children of all abilities are educated together, and even if they're not academic, they still have opportunities to shine in a school environment.
Yeah, and I was reading a bit about you and found that you actually did a radio program at that school. That's very progressive. The school was one of the pioneer schools, one of the pilot schools for transition year, which is now very common right throughout the education system. But it was only really beginning to start then, and New Park was selected as a pilot, and as part of that transition year, we made a radio program, which kind of, I suppose, just lit the spark. My interest in media began at that time. Yeah, and who were your strong influences then as a schoolboy branching into radio? Was there any particular teacher that encouraged you and persuaded you, or did you just make your own way and you saw it and ran with it?
Well, we had it. There was the transition year at the time was run by a fairly small group of what would have been at the time really very young. They seemed to me to be very old, but I met them in recent years, and there's not much of an age difference between us at all. But a group of young teachers, some of them not long qualified, and they were very enthusiastic, very energetic, very encouraging. And one in particular gave me a lot of encouragement. He was a man called Fr Jones. And Fr had not long qualified, I think, as a teacher, and was one of the team heading up this transition year. And I went into him one day and said, Mr. Wynne Jones, I'm interested in journalism or media. How would I do that? And I had no family background. I had no connections. I certainly wasn't any kind of an standout academic student. So I was probably an unlikely person to be looking at this kind of ambition. And Fr Wynne Jones had a little office, I remember, and he said, sit down there. And then is my recollection. he picked up the phone and he got through to the head of personnel or the personnel department in the Irish Times. And he said to them, I have a student here who's interested in journalism. Could he come in and talk to somebody and find out what he would need to do if he wanted to pursue this as a career? And within a week or two, I was sitting in the personnel office with the head of personnel of the Irish Times. I can't remember what advice he gave me, but what I do remember is the encouragement that Vera Wynne-Jones gave me, that teacher gave me, because he took this 15 or 16-year-old, whatever age I was, that had this ambition, which was probably a bit unrealistic, to be honest, and said, no, well, if that's what you want to find out about, let's find out about it. And off I went. And I suppose an adult giving that kind of encouragement to you is so important. It's so invaluable. And that's why I think teachers are some of the most important people in our society. They can lift children up and encourage them and give them a sense of, the self-worth.
Yes.
Or they can do the opposite, they can put them down and they can crush their ambition. So it's such an important job.
Yeah. And what did the radio consist of? What did the radio were you interviewing people or?
Oh, yeah, we interviewed, I don't remember a whole lot about it, other than we interviewed the principal of the school. Now, I wasn't presenting the radio program, I was on the sort of production side of it. And the principal came into our little makeshift studio, and we had a tape recorder where we recorded all this. We weren't actually broadcasting; we were recording the program, and then we played it later on to the class. And the principal answered questions, from students or from a student. I thought that's pretty cool. I think I'd like to do that. People in power, people in positions of authority, can actually be held and called to account.
Yes, and what a brilliant start for you as a keen young student, to have that sort of encouragement and that facility to be able to do it as well. That was an excerpt from an interview I had with Brian Dobson, and you can hear the full interview if you go to the Beyond Belief catch-up for the 7th of September 2025. This is Annie Lennox, Angels from the Realms of Glory. Here is Bishop Michael Burrows, the Bishop of Tuam, Limerick and Killaloe, with his New Year reflection.
Happy New Year of Grace 2026. I hope you won't think this too political a comment, but one of the things we face as a country this coming year is Ireland's turn at being president nation of the EU. And the EU, over which Ireland will preside, is changing rapidly in a changing Europe, whether we like it or not, much more concerned than in the past with defence and security. And that means we have to ask ourselves hard questions about how we can be militarily neutral but politically other than neutral, about the appropriate investment in defence and security spending for the EU, about the budget for our own defence forces, and actually in the Christian mind these are profoundly moral questions. And one thing I hope in the coming year is that whatever view people ultimately take, that the Christian voice will be heard in the public square about these things. We're far too good at talking about private morality. There will be a lot of public and political morality to talk about as Ireland heads the EU this year. Let's hope we engage intelligently and prayerfully.
This is Josh Grogan with What Child Is This?
What child is this who lay to rest on Mary's lap is sleeping, whom angels greet with anthems sweet, while shepherds watch our keeping? So bring him incense, gold and myrrh, come peasant king to own him. The King of Kings salvation brings, let loving hearts enthrone him. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. Oh, raise, raise a song on high. His mother sings her lullaby. Joy, oh joy, for Christ is born, the babe, the Son of Mary. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. What child is this who lay to rest on Mary's lap, on Mary's lap? He is sleeping. This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard and angels sing. Haste, haste to bring him, Lord, the babe, the Son of Mary. The babe, the Son of Mary. The Son of Mary.
Here is Bishop Fintan Monaghan, the Bishop of Killaloe, with his New Year reflection.
As we begin this New Year season, I offer my warm greetings and prayers to you and to all your families across County Clare and wherever you may be listening from. The turning of the year invites us to pause, to look back with honesty and gratitude on the months that have passed, and to look forward with hope to the year that now lies before us. The year just ended has brought its share of challenges and uncertainties, but it has also revealed much goodness. We have seen resilience in our communities, quiet acts of generosity and a deep sense of care for one another, especially for those most vulnerable. And all that has been life-giving and strengthening, and we give thanks to God. And for what has been difficult or painful, we entrust it to God's mercy and healing. As we step into 2026, we do so not knowing exactly what the future will hold, but confident that we do not walk alone. God goes before us, calling us to be people of hope, patience, and compassion. In the year ahead, may we continue to build understanding, to support one another as neighbours, and to choose kindness in our words and actions, in our homes, in our workplaces, in our parishes and pastoral areas. I pray that 2026 will be a year of peace in our hearts, wisdom in our decisions, and renewed strength for all who serve others, often unseen. May God bless our county, our families, and each one of you with health, courage, and hope for the journey ahead. I wish you every blessing for the new year, and may God's presence guide and protect you throughout the months to come. Aflíonn faoi héin is faoi waise, gur a fada búnmuid agus go meiremuid beo an tam seo arís.
Well, we're coming to the end of this Beyond Belief, where we've been looking back over 2025 and looking forward to 2026. My thanks to all those who've given up their time to talk to us on Beyond Belief. Without you, we wouldn't have a programme. And also my thanks to Fr Gerry Kenny for our chat this evening, and Bishop Michael and Bishop Fintan for their New Year reflections for 2026. Remember, you can listen not only to this Beyond Belief, but to every Beyond Belief going back nearly 6 years to COVID times in 2020. Just go to the Clare FM website and click on the Catch-Up tab. And as we get back into our usual schedule, you can join Father Brendan Quinlivan for Sunday prayer at 7:45 next Sunday morning. This is Stephen Fletcher wishing you a joyful and a peaceful year ahead. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Slán agus beannacht.